Today we're going to talk about Valorant's most recent agent that got added into the game, and that of course is Waylay, because Waylay is quite confusing. You see, Waylay's been in the game for, quite a few months at this point, and normally by about this time you get a good sense of like how good the agent actually is. But with Waylay, I feel like we're still having a lot of question marks, and you see the problem that we're having with Waylay is that sometimes it looks like these clips.
Yeah, willing to, I don't want to say challenge middle, but let's see how they maybe want to approach it. Kai wants to test early. Okay, second.
Well, I was going to say,
so still pay some respect to these stingers.
Oh, massively. I mean, we've got 4 on the side of Paper Rex. We've got 3 already available for Talon. 1 away from Primi.
Oh, the refract. Must have heard it. Instantly goes back, but Talon will rush.
But then at other times, it looks like these clips.
This is a situation that actually could be thriftyable for RRQ. Uh-oh.
Just make it a fight. As DRX, you wait out the flash. Saturate comes in though, and then Jemkin looking for shots! He's got the triple! Space down middle.
Oh, and look who's around the corner. Yunmin.
Spotted out by the Prowler, but still has a relay. Oh, and it's all the utility gets traded across. They just go in for the spam around the edges of the progression smoke. Estrella trying to stall as best as possible, but Jemkin just bypasses some of it with the rest of the team relaying forward.
And that gap in quality between the clips that you've just seen, I think, is part of the major problem that we're having with evaluating Waylay, so I thought it was worth a deeper dive. Now, one of the first things I wanted to look at when it came to Waylay was taking a look at Stage 2 and just the overall Waylay win rate, right? By now, in Stage 2, Waylay's been out for a couple months. How is just the win rate of Waylay? Well, I can tell you it's 16 out of 36, 44% overall. So, overall, not that great. But let's first start off by talking about the good side of Waylay. What does Waylay provide? What's the strengths of this agent? Well, the first thing, and I think the most notable thing, particularly when it comes to high-level play, but even in your ranked games as well, is the Saturate, because this ability is just very good, right? Like, when it hits hard, as we see from this Jemkin clip right here, and I wanted to talk about some of the reasons that it hits, right? Obviously, one thing about the Saturate is that it's quite big. It hits pretty fast, right? So from when Jemkin is throwing this down, it's a pretty large area and it goes off quick enough to where it's pretty hard to get out of, right? That's quick enough to where it's hard to get out of. The other thing I want to note here is Hyunmin, because especially at the highest level, but really probably at most levels, the way that people will naturally react to a lot of, util coming out is they'll try and jump out of the way, right? Because by jumping, you're making yourself, a harder target. You're out there, and particularly when it comes to stuns or stuff like that, you'll always see pros try and jump out of the way. The thing is with a Saturate, though, is jumping against it probably isn't your best choice, because you're just going to hover in midair and not move, right? So you don't move whilst you're jumping. Unlike, when you're hit by other bits of util, you can make yourself hard to hit. When it comes to against a Saturate, if anything, you've made it worse for yourself. So that natural reaction that you also have to trying to avoid this ability is actually the wrong reaction as well. And we can see another good use of the Waylay here and getting some Saturate value from Team Heretics.
Nice slow down.
Move over the top, nice set piece. Brilliant, in fact. Even aware of the third player, which he will find.
So here you can see the combo potential that this agent can have, and this is a great showcase of kind of, multiple parts of Waylay's kit, but you're going to get the Saturate over the top with an Omen flash down here. And again, you see, like, there's always going to be someone in these clips. A lot of the time when it goes right for a Saturate, there's going to be someone who's trying to jump out of the way. And they're going to just end up hovering in midair, with nowhere to go, right? Looking stupid. And that's exactly what we get just there from Team Heretics. And that's a great example of using Waylay to your best of ability. Another thing that Waylay has going for them is, particularly on a defensive side, as Paper Rex are about to show, synergy with Yoru. And of course, we know that Yoru is one of perhaps the best agents in the game. And so having a good synergy with one of the best agents in the game is generally going to be pretty good.
Those flashes out, getting the spots. Everything you could want there from your Yoru. Here he goes again. This time he's got backup.
oh, sees multiple targets, decides to just back away. Something going to be doing very much the same, but there's the Saturate laid back.
Now, in all of these clips that I've shown you, you'll notice that the Saturate is a big part of it all, right? You're seeing that that is a massive part of why Waylay is good. And also the ult, has a very similar effect, and you can also see that when the ult is used correctly, that it too can give you massive value.
But they need a little bit of help over at this B side right now. Xfera feeling the pressure, getting out of dodge.
will hold the corner though. Oh, and that's a perfect kill. Snakebite in just to decay Mako.
Yeah, the decay, really a problem.
Mega conversion pass from the back as well, and the rest of the team will arrive. The cavalry is here. And Estrella can do nothing but to just sit.
And when it comes to the Waylay ult, I know some of you watching that clip will be like, well, that was a 2v5. The RRQ were going to win that round either way. And true, they were going to, right? But this is the thing with the Waylay ult. I think sometimes it is hard to find, you know, amazing clips of it being used because generally I think it's a bit easier to avoid, right? You get this kind of wind-up time and then you know it's going to come from in to out. So what that means is that you get just like a little bit more time, right? These pros, they're pretty good at like avoiding these things or perhaps planning around, you know, these kind of ults as well. But when it does hit, it is a massive threat, right? You see that Estrella here just ends up being a bot, right? Like just a free kill, no matter what. And when it is used correctly and does smack onto someone, it can be, you know, they can be in a lot of trouble. So, okay, we know some of the good parts about Waylay then, but what are some of the negatives? Well, I think one of the main problems with Waylay overall is what you're going to see in this clip from RRQ versus Gen G.
4 rounds still of padding before big sweat.
Quick entry around over towards Ali, and Charon unable to find the punish there. Jemkin almost feels like he should have been dead. To saturate, prevent this peek on the corner. Very nicely timed, completely counteracts the paranoid, but Ash! He's got 2 of them lined up. Cushy Jemkin, both going to be taken down. Monyet only going to be good for the 1, and now the crunch continues.
So the problem that we get into here is that we get 10 seconds into the round and one of my agents has no utility left. Right? That is just one of the fundamental problems that we have seen a ton with Waylay, is that this happens all the time. So what Jemkin has done here, he's set his refract back out here. Right, he's double dashed up. We're going to get a dot. We're going to get a flash in here as well. The util is actually going to hit. Right, so the util is actually going to hit onto Karen. You know, this is a kill. This is a free kill here, essentially, for Jemkin, right? He's completely blind. But your instant reaction is, I'm going to TP back out. And particularly when you're playing solo Waylay, you know, this happens a lot. Where, okay, we've just used a flash, and now I've used 2 bits of my Waylay kit, but no one is scaled off it. Right, like, now we're just back to where we were. You know, we're back at stage 1. We also see the breach nerf come into this clip as well, because holy hell, look at how slow this breach ult is here. Ash gets 2 kills before he goes off, right? He's standing in the breach ult, and he manages to get 2 kills before he even goes off. Why did they nerf breach, man? I have no idea. I have no idea, but that's just a sign of how useless he can be at times. You know, funnily enough, this is the 1 round that Gen G win on this half. But I did think it shows the Waylay problems quite a lot. You will see this countless times in Waylay games, right? Where knowing when to refract in those spots is very, very hard. Because living is better than dying in those spots. And you have a way to live. So it feels like the right option. But then in that spot that we just saw there, like, Texture isn't trading that kill. Like, that is a free kill that he has. That he doesn't take. Because he's so worried about having to get back out. Also, another problem you can have with Waylay is defensive opping, because Waylay isn't the best defensive op agent in the game. This clip here is just going to show one of the problems, really, that like Jemkin is going to have, which is partly like a jet problem as well, right? Which is when you activate the refract, you know, if you get it slightly wrong, well, then you just lost it, you know, kind of like jet. But it's not just like jet, because the other problem that you have with an op, and we'll see it here from Jemkin as well, is he's sitting behind this wall with his op, right? But when you're playing Waylay, it's not like a jet where you activate the dash and you can dash out. You have to push forward, right? When you refract, so he's refracted just there, right? So he's put his refract down here, right? And this is how you get those clips that we were seeing earlier on in the video, is that when you're opping on Waylay, you don't want to push, you want to hold, right? You want to get to your spot and hold. So you don't want to be, you know, putting your refract in some safe spot and then charging forward with an op. You know, that's just not how it works. You do end up just putting it right behind you and TPing a tiny little distance like in this spot here. If Jemkin actually used it, he'd be going back like a yard, right, just behind the Viper wall. And that's how you end up with those stupid clips that we saw earlier on, is like, you're just putting it down and then you're TPing back, but you're only going a tiny distance and then they just scale on you and you die. Now, one theory when it comes to Waylay is that Waylay is good on defense, but struggles on attack. Now, I know that I have said that myself as well. And one of the reasons for that is that you do get a lot of these kind of clips, you know, from this Gen G game where I've just used all my util and, you know, now I've got no util. You know what's funny about that actually is that narrative, I went through and checked the round win rates of Waylay in stage 2 in these games, and that doesn't seem to bear out, actually. where actually Waylay, solo Waylay, has a better attack win rate and actually has a pretty good attack win rate versus double Waylay. Quite weird, right? Now, a lot of that is RRQ, because RRQ are just playing a ton of Waylay. And part of it is the maps, right? Like, generally, the double Juice Waylay was on Corrode, which obviously is a hard map to attack. So, you know, there are some caveats in there for sure, but I did think that that was quite interesting. And so by taking a look here at the numbers and some of these clips as well when it comes to Waylay, if you're wondering what my overall takeaway is in terms of how good Waylay is, I think Waylay is pretty fine. Right, it's a fine pick, but I think the thing you need to know about Waylay and whether a pro team should run it or shouldn't run it, or whether you should run it in your ranked games or whatnot, is that Waylay is not an easy agent to play. I think that is my main takeaway, and that is how you end up with the stupid clips, but also the really good clips, because when you get it right, Waylay looks insane, but when you get it wrong, you look really, really dumb. And that, I think, is the important thing, that Waylay is very difficult to get right. But if you can, then it's worth it. So in terms of like pro play or in your rank games, what I would say with Waylay is either play a lot of it and get really good at it, or don't play it. That is your two options. So for instance, RRQ are playing a ton of Waylay, and if you want to play Waylay and go in that direction, then you should do what RRQ are doing, where you're playing on multiple maps, and Jemkin is, you know, having a lot of reps on Waylay, so that, and even he makes mistakes. We've seen it in some of this video as well. Like, he will not play a perfect Waylay, but he's better than everyone else because he's playing so much more Waylay than everyone else. Don't play Waylay just on one map. You have to either commit to it or don't. And right now, I would probably say for most teams, Yoru is good, Neon's good, Raze is good. You don't really need to go in for Waylay because there are other good options.